Welcome to our segment on marketing and sales. The most fundamental concept in the marketing world uh, is the four P's: product, place, promotion, and for those of you who are pretty sharp and can count, you realize we're already at four. I've also added people in there because ultimately people buy from people, and especially for us in the tech world and software developers, the people aspect is incredibly important and often overlooked. Talk more about that later. Product is what you sell. It's the features and the benefits of the product, the specifications, if you will, what you're going to sell. And I think it's important, especially for software developers, to think about the fact that what you leave out is often as important as what you put in. Imagine you want to get your new software product to market. There's 20 features that you think could be cool to have in there, but you can't wait till all 20 are done to release the product. So you have to pick very carefully which ones you put in, which means you have to decide which ones you leave out. A great example of leaving things out in a strategic manner comes from my time at HP. When I was at HP, the printer guys who were really sharp for home printing, they did some research and they found that people wanted color printers at home so long as they could have them for the same price as black and white. So they did some studies and they found that if you had to pay extra to get color, you wouldn't pay extra. So they didn't concentrate on the color printer market until they could bring color printers to market that were basically the same price as black and white. Looked like they were behind their competitors, but in terms of making money and sales, they were doing just fine. Product mix is the selection or the groupings of products that you offer. And that's closely related to a product line strategy. If you think about product line strategy, a good example would be Apple's laptops compared to HP's laptops. Apple used to have an incredibly simple laptop product portfolio. Now they have a simple product portfolio. Contrast that with HP, who has more models and makes more models and variants of laptop than almost you can keep track of. So very different strategies. Apple has a clean, easy to understand product portfolio, and HP's strategy is to customize the product for different groups of consumers and different stores. Place is where and how you sell your product. And there are essentially three main ways to get your product to a customer. And we call those channels. And they're direct. That means you sell directly to the customer. So that would be buying an iPhone from the Apple website. You can use an agent or you can use a reseller. In each of the agent and reseller cases, the customer does not buy the product directly from you. You're not selling it to the individual at the end. An agent never owns the product. So if you're selling through an agent, the agent does all the work, gets the sale, but ultimately the transaction is between you and the customer. In the reseller case, the name kind of says it all. They resell the product. So that means you sell the product to the reseller, and then the reseller sells it on to the consumer. In that reseller chain, there may be more than one step. A wholesaler may buy the product from you, sell it to a retailer, the retailer sells it to the customer. Increasingly, customers have multiple channels. Amazon is probably one of the few retailers who has a very simple channel, and that's they're online. They've experimented with bricks and mortar stores, but fundamentally they're online. Indigo, on the other hand, is a mix of online and bricks and mortars. when I was, again, to pull out the HP examples, when I started at HP, they wanted very tight control of their channels. They sold some product direct, they sold some product through resellers, but were very tightly controlling of those channels. By the time I left, they were much more open about their channels. All they wanted to do was get product to end customers. And a common phrase around the cafeteria was any product, any channel, anytime. Promotion. Well, it's called promotion because advertising doesn't start with a P. And we have the classic medium of print, radio, TV, outdoor advertising like bus shelters, billboards, and also your location. Um, don't underestimate the value of having your business in a location where a lot of people see it. And then we have more modern venues such as AdSense, YouTube, and your company website. Pricing. Well, what are you going to charge for your product? A lot of that depends on the type of business you're in. Let's look at 3 businesses: gold mining, a bike shop, and a software publisher. Now, I've kind of arranged these in order of the amount of flexibility you have when setting your price. If you're a gold miner, you have really no flexibility about how much you're going to get paid for your gold. Gold is a pure commodity, commodity meaning 1 ounce of gold is identical to another ounce of gold, and there's a worldwide price for gold. So you pull out 1 ounce of gold from the ground, you're going to get $500, $1,000, whatever the going market price is for gold. That's what you get, and it's determined by the global market. So you have very little choice in how you price. A bike shop, on the other hand, you've got some choice. You can sell at list price, you can discount, and you have to decide how much you want to discount, giving up some of your profit margin in order to get greater volume. Software publishers, especially software publishers of relatively niche software where there isn't a lot of direct competition, have a much more interesting or difficult choice. To produce an extra copy of their software costs nothing. Right? You just give a download code or burn a CD. Cost is trivial. So what do you charge? And you have to make decisions about volume versus profit. So you get a lot of choice with a software publisher. Choice isn't always good. It becomes a difficult decision. What do you charge for your software? And finally, my favorite, my little pet that I put in there, people. Ultimately, all products are purchased by people, even industrial products. And to some extent, maybe even more so industrial products, in that because the price of many of these products is considerably higher than a consumer product, manufacturers can spend a lot of money on having direct sales forces that talk to customers and build relationships with customers. Right? In the sales forces I worked in, a common phrase was, remember, people buy from people. The relationships you build with your customers are very valuable. And even if you're buying, that's important too, because you have to remember that your sales team and your support team are people too. And if you build a good relationship with them and you're honest and respectful, when you need a favor, a special deal, when you need product delivered in an emergency situation, they're just that little bit more likely to help you. And the key to these relationships really is communication. The more you can learn about your customers, the better. And as a customer, the more you can learn about your suppliers and what's important to them, the better. So that's where we come to this topic that is kind of near and dear to my heart, having spent a lot of time in the sales force. It's relationship marketing. And if you're in the tech world, which I think all of you will be, sales is not a bad place to be. Customer-facing jobs offer a lot of advantages. And by the customer-facing jobs, I mean sales, So that's the person who's responsible for making the sale. Most complex technical products also have a technical person who's part of the sales team. Uh, they're responsible for making sure all the technical people at the customer understand the product and their questions are answered. Um, the consulting professional services business, very much relationship based, and building strong relationship with your customers is very important. And support is a good place to be, including the call center. Depending on the organization you might sign up with, there's often an excellent promotion path out of the call center. So you get a job working the help desk for Microsoft or Oracle, and you do a good job solving problems and satisfying customers. I think you'd be surprised how quickly doors open either to second line support jobs where they're making the product and eventually engineering jobs where they're making the product, or direct customer engagement jobs where you're out in the field dealing with the customers. And to that end, let me tell you a few things I've learned over the years, being part of the sales force and the customer support force. One of the most important lessons is you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. In short, listen more than you talk. There's no joke, right? The 3 most important things in real estate are location, location, location. Well, the 3 most important things in selling your product are qualify, qualify, qualify. Well, what do I mean by qualify? You need to make sure that you're spending your time and effort with potential customers who can buy your product. It doesn't matter that they'd like to buy it. If I was doing this in class, I might have a quick show of hands. How many people would like to have a brand new Ferrari? Well, sure, you're all interested. Again, who wouldn't like to have a new Ferrari? Next question is, how many people have the money in the bank to buy a new Ferrari? And if I'm the Ferrari salesman, I want to spend my time with the people who want the Ferrari and have the money to be able to afford it. It's incredibly important and valuable to find something the customer cares about. How do you do that? Well, back to the first point, 2 ears. Listen to what the customer's saying. If you can find what's important to the customer and present your product in a way that addresses what's important to the customer, you're way ahead of the game. Another key point that it's important, no matter what you're selling, even if it's a used car on Kijiji or a used laptop on Kijiji, as soon as the customer buys, stop selling. What do I mean by that? Well, as soon as the customer indicates that they want to buy the product, stop telling them about the product, because you run the risk that one of the things you think is great, they're not going to like, and now they won't want to buy the product. So as soon as they want it, stop talking about it. The next one took me a long time to learn. You got to be yourself. Early in my career, I tried to emulate the people around me who were really successful and almost imitate them. And it didn't work well because I wasn't being myself, and people can sense that, and it's not good. So you need to be the best, most polite, most effective version of yourself, but ultimately you need to be yourself. And finally, solving problems works wonders. Problems are kind of by definition, well, a problem. But by working through a problem with a customer and coming out the other end with a solution, you can build a really solid relationship. And I have to say, my times in the field as a technical consultant, a salesperson, as a consultant doing projects at customers, I did not have one excellent customer relationship that wasn't the result of us having a problem and working together to fix it. the value of that is just tremendous. So don't hesitate from those or shy away from those difficult situations. If you get in there, roll up your sleeves, and work hard side by side with the customer, I think your efforts will be really rewarded. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next module.